सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Today is the birthday of Swami Adbhutananda, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. So I thought instead of studying the Bhagavad Gita, we will dwell on the life and teachings of Swami Adbhutananda. Swami Vivekananda would say, Latu is the greatest miracle of Sri Ramakrishna. Continuing, he would say that having absolutely no education, he has attained to the highest wisdom simply by the touch of Sri Ramakrishna. Another disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyananda, said, many of us had to go through the muddy waters of intellectual knowledge before we attained God. But Latu jumped over like them, all the hurdles, jumped over like them, like Hanuman, like the monkey God. His life teaches us how to live in God without touching the dirt of the world. Padmapatra mivambasa, we see it in the Bhagavad Gita, like the lotus which remains in water but is not tainted by water. In the same way, his life was led in such a manner that the dirt of the world would not touch him. And Latu had direct access to this fountainhead of knowledge. As a result, many philosophers or scholars would almost sit dumb, like a dumb person at his feet, when the words of wisdom would come out of his lips. Sri Ramakrishna had once said that when a ray of light comes from the great source of all light, all book learning loses its value. Sri Ramakrishna himself was not a very highly educated person in the ordinary sense of the term education. And he once said, one day the gems of the Vedas and the Vedanta will pour forth from your lips. He addressed Latu. A devotee once wanted to write a biography on Latu Maharaj. To this he objected and said, what is the use of writing my life? If you want to write a biography, then just write the biography of the Master and of Swami Vivekananda. That will do good to the world. So this humility was there, and that's how he would not allow anybody to have access to his inner life, inner greatness. And many of the incidents that has taken place in his life has not been available to us, but whatever is available is good enough for us to follow and emulate. He was born in a village, a small village in the district of Chapra in Bihar, northern India. And when he was born, he was given the name Raktu Ram. O Rama, you be the protector of this child. That is the meaning of that name. O Ram, you be the protector of this child. When he was very young, he had not seen his parents. Both the parents had passed away, and his family members, that is his relatives, used to take care of him, and he used to tend to their sheep, cows and other animals. And he was a carefree boy, walking in the fields and having the companionship of the animals. But his uncle, who used to work for Dr. Ramchandra Datta, who was a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, he came and he saw this boy wandering around here and there, and he said, come to Kolkata, I will take you over there and I will make sure that you get some job. So that's how he comes to Kolkata. And there the name Rakturam was shortened to Latu. Raktu Ram becomes Latu. And Sri Ramakrishna used to call him Leto or Neto. In that part of Bengal, L becomes N. So Leto or Neto. And Swami Vivekananda used to call him as Plato, the great Greek philosopher. So he comes to the household of Ramchandra Datta, and with his charming behavior, simple behavior, he captured the hearts of both Ramchandra Datta and his wife. So they became like his parents, and he used to address them as such. As he was a servant in the household, there will always be people who will look down upon such servants. So once a friend of Ramchandra Datta gave to him an indication that Rakturam, Latu, might be pocketing some money which was given to him for shopping. Hearing this, young Latu at once flared up, and he said in half Bengali and half Hindi, he said, "Know for certain, sir, that I am a servant and not a thief." See, that self-respect was there in this young boy. And Ramchandra Datta supported this boy. He said he would never do such a thing in my household. Later, the young boy, Latu, heard Ramchandra Datta repeating some of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, Ramchandra Datta was the first person to ever compile a book on Sri Ramakrishna, especially the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali. So he used to, when he would come back from Dakshineshwar, Ramchandra Datta would sometimes talk about what he heard or would repeat what Sri Ramakrishna had said. And once the young boy heard the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, God sees into the mind of a man or the heart of a man without concern for what he is or where he is. One who is sincere and earnest about God realizes him as sure as anything. That means definitely he will have the vision of God. And he further said, one should go into solitude now and then and pray and weep for God. Then only will he reveal himself. And in this vein he started talking about Sri Ramakrishna and his teachings. The young Latu was very much impressed by these teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, and he always was searching for a time or an opportunity to go and see him. But just by hearing the words of Sri Ramakrishna, that is the spoken by Sri Ramakrishna through Ramchandra Datta, he had started molding his own life. Sometimes Ramchandra Datta would see Latu lying down, covering himself with a thick blanket, and his eyes moist with tears. The ladies of the house thought probably that this child might be thinking of his lost parents or his hometown. And so they asked him, said, "Why are you crying?" So, of course, he would not say anything, but it was the tears for the vision of God that used to come out of his eyes or flow out of his eyes. So one day the day came when he went to Sri Ramakrishna, and as soon as Sri Ramakrishna saw this boy, he was deeply impressed, and he said, "O Ram," addressing Ramchandra, "O Ram, who is this boy? He has such wonderful features." And so he started speaking to this boy, and Latu was overwhelmed, overjoyed with this contact with Sri Ramakrishna. Even though he did not know a lot about the master, he was very much impressed. A few months after Latu's meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, the master went to Kamarpukur, his birthplace, and he remained there for about 8 months. Latu felt a great void for him. When he used to come to Dakshineshwar, he would feel a great void and by the absence of Sri Ramakrishna. But still he would go to Dakshineshwar now and then, and he passed some time over there, rather sad and morose. And Latu Maharaj later said, "You cannot conceive of the sufferings I had at that time. I would go to Sri Ramakrishna's room, wander in the garden, stroll hither and thither, but everything would seem very insipid, tasteless. I would weep alone to unburden my heart. It was only Ram Babu, that is Ramchandra Datta, who could to some extent understand my feelings. And so he gave me a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna." It was very rare in those days to get a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna. So he was happy with it, and as he would go and sit on the bank of the river Ganga, and would weep for the master. So one day, the nephew of Sri Ramakrishna, Ramlal, who was a priest in the Kali temple, he says that I went and saw Latu crying. I told him, "Look here, the master has gone to his village and he will be away for quite some time." As many times as he would say, "Look, the master is not here, he has gone to his hometown," so many times Latu would retort and he would say, No, you don't understand. He is definitely here." So one day, Ramlal went to conduct the service, evening service at the temple, and then after he finished it, and he brought some prasad for the boy, and as he was coming, he saw Latu bowing down, prostrating on the ground, touching the forehead with his forehead to the ground. And Ramlal says, "I was very surprised and I kept quiet. I didn't say anything. Then the boy got up. Latu got up and he saw me standing in front of him. And he asked me, where is the master? Where did he go?" This shows that he indeed had the physical presence, presence or the vision of the master. Around this time, once he came back from Kamarpukur, his village, the master felt a great need to have somebody to help him. His health was frail, so he wanted to have an attendant to look after his physical needs. So then, when he proposed the name of Latu to Ramchandra, Ramchandra immediately agreed and said, of course, he is for you, he is meant for you. So please do not feel hesitant to accept his service. During that period, Latu stayed with Sri Ramakrishna for about 3 days. On the 3rd day, the master told him, Ram is getting worried about you. It is time for you to go home. Then Latu replied, my master won't be angry with me if I stay. He has already hired another servant who does all the work. And the master asked, what is that? You are going to stay here and you will still receive a salary from Ram? If you are paid by someone, you must also work for him. I have never heard of anyone serving one person and taking money from another. Just at this point in the conversation, Ramchandra and his wife entered Sri Ramakrishna's room. The master turned to them and said, look at this boy. When I say to him, go home, he laughs and tells me, if I stay here, my master won't be angry. I don't want to leave. What's all this? Why should he stay here and forget his duties? Come, O Ram, you try to convince this boy. Ramchandra replied, sir, you have turned this boy's head with your love. Now why are you giving me unnecessary trouble? Then the master said with a smile, what nectar has drawn this boy here? I know nothing of it. So from then onwards, he started living with Sri Ramakrishna and served him till the end of his life. Sri Ramakrishna warned this young boy to be careful about wine and about lust and gold. Because on the way to Dakshineshwar from Ramchandra Datta's house, there was a tavern. And Latus one day said to Sri Ramakrishna, well, as I walked past the tavern, the smell of the alcohol made me feel tempted. So please give me some instruction as to what I should do. So Sri Ramakrishna said, be very careful about this lust and gold. And from that day onwards, whenever he would go towards Calcutta, Latu, instead of taking this direct road, he would go round several kilometers and go to Calcutta and return. Knowing this, Sri Ramakrishna said, well, I asked you not to smell the alcohol or the wine. I did not forbid you to walk down the street where it is sold. It won't hurt you to pass near the shop. Then he told him something very important. He said, remember this, showing his own body. Sri Ramakrishna said, remember this, and no intoxicant will be able to disturb you. And Latu would never begin his day without seeing Sri Ramakrishna and saluting him. One morning, he could not see the master. So he shouted, where are you? Sri Ramakrishna said, well, I am outside, I am coming. So Latu kept his palm pressed to his eyes until the master came. And then he bowed down to the master. How simple he was. And Sri Ramakrishna always obeyed like a very obedient boy. Sri Ramakrishna also obeyed him. Another day, Sri Ram Babu or Ramchandra Datta had presented Latu with a new pair of slip-ons or footwear. Generally, Latu would walk barefooted. So Ramchandra Datta had bought him a new pair of footwear. So he had come and he had put it outside Sri Ramakrishna's room. At night, some animal had come and taken away one out of the pair of slip-ons. And in the morning when the master got up, he went out and he saw that there was only one of the pair outside. So he went about and he started searching for that. So, seeing this, Sri Latu said, "Sir, where are you? Where are you?" Sri Ramakrishna said, "Well, I have come to search for your footwear." Then he said, "Sir, I shall feel sorry if you keep on looking for my sandal. It will be harmful for me because you are my guru, so I cannot bear this." And he said, "My whole day will be spent in vain." To this, Sri Ramakrishna responded. It's a very useful teaching for us. He says, "Do you know what day is really spent in vain? That day when the Lord's name is not chanted." See, the day that you do not remember the divine, that day has gone in vain. If you remember the divine, that day is a beneficial day. Latu was once found sleeping in the evening. Perhaps he was overtired by the day's work. Sri Ramakrishna mildly reproached Latu for sleeping at such an odd time. And he said, "If you sleep at such a time, especially during dawn and dusk, if you sleep at such a time, when will you meditate?" That was all. And Latu gave up sleeping at night for the rest of his life. He would just have a short nap during the daytime and he would pass the whole night awake in doing the japa. He became the living illustration of the verse in the Gita. What is night to the ordinary people is day to the yogi. Sri Ramakrishna asked Latu, "Leto, can you say whether God sleeps or not?" Obviously, Latu did not know the answer. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Well, everyone in the world sleeps, but God does not. For if God slept, the universe would be plunged into darkness and would dissolve. God must remain awake day and night, taking care of his creatures, so that they can sleep without fear." What a wonderful teaching that Sri Ramakrishna gives to us through Latu Maharaj. Once Sri Ramakrishna told Latu, "Don't forget him, that is the divine, throughout the day or night." And of all forms of spiritual practices, it seems that Latu laid great stress on repeating the sacred name, the mantra of the Lord. And he used to give this same instruction to whoever would come to him for guidance. A devotee asked him, "Sir, how can we have self-surrender to God whom we have never seen? If I have seen you, then I can be a friend. But if I have not seen you, how can I be your friend? That is the idea. So Latu Maharaj said in his inimitable, simple manner, said, it does not matter if you do not know him. You know his name. Just take his name and you will progress spiritually. And he gave an example. What do they do in an office? Without having seen or known the officer, one sends the application addressed to his name. Similarly, send your application to God and you will receive his grace. Very simple, but very deep philosophy is hidden behind these words. We are prone to doubt everything that we hear. And therefore, naturally, we discuss, we reason, we examine to see if what is said is true or wrong. Therefore, so much of our energy is spent in arriving at that truth. As a result, there is not much of energy left to perform the action, to undertake the action. But it was just the opposite with Latu Maharaj. As soon as he heard a word from the master, he rushed headlong and put it into action. One day Sri Ramakrishna asked him, Latu, do you know what your Lord Rama is doing now? See, because he was from the North India, he was devoted to Lord Rama and to, of course, Hanuman. Therefore, he used to say, Sri Ramakrishna asked him, what is your Lord Rama doing now? Latu kept quiet. To test him, Sri Ramakrishna said, your Lord Rama is now passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. Latu understood that everything is possible for the Lord. He can make the lame person climb the mountain or the blind to see. So he said, he also realized that Sri Ramakrishna, through these words, was pouring spirituality into him. The master Sri Ramakrishna once told Latu, one that has controlled the tongue has controlled the other senses. Jite, jihve, jitam, jite sarvam. From the Bhagavatam. So, Latu used to practice wrestling as an exercise and naturally had a very great appetite. One day he went to a devotee's house along with Sri Ramakrishna and he ate a great quantity of food. Sri Ramakrishna later called him aside and said, look, it is not good to eat excessively by competing with others. During lunch, you may eat as much as you wish, but at night, do not eat too much. Hearing this, Latu gradually reduced his food intake, but he overdid it and he became quite lean and thin. Then Sri Ramakrishna called him and said, look, now you have gone to the other extreme. Eat the quantity of food that will keep your body in a fit condition. Otherwise, if you eat too little, you won't be able to focus your mind on meditation. You will always be thinking of the food. On another day, Sri Ramakrishna heard from Latu that he could not meditate. He went to the temple to meditate, but he could not meditate for long. So he came back feeling very discouraged about it. The master asked, "Why did you come back so soon?" "I could not concentrate my mind in doing the japa." "Why not?" "I don't know," answered Latu. "So on other days when I sit for japam and meditation, I see something and the mind gets concentrated. But today nothing appeared. I tried hard to concentrate but I failed." Then he added, "On my way to the temple, the thought came to me, if mother would appear to me and offer a boon, what should I ask for?" "Ah," the master said, "well, there is the trouble. Can one do japam with the mind full of desires? What should I ask and what I should not? Never let that happen again. When sitting to meditate, one should not ask for anything. If mother ever insists on giving you something, then only ask for devotion to her. Never ask for wealth, power, sense pleasures or anything else." Through these words, Sri Ramakrishna is instructing us also. When we sit for meditation, let us not ask for this or that, pray for this or that, but pray for Him alone, that we can have everlasting love at the lotus feet of the Divine. Many incidents are told about the deep meditation that Latu Maharaj used to have. One day he was meditating, sitting on the bank of the Ganga. Naturally he would sit on a raised platform over there on a raised seat. But then that day the flood tide came and it was very strong and it went up and Latu was surrounded with water. He was in water. But he was totally unconscious of the outer world. Sri Ramakrishna came to know of this and he rushed over there, woke him up and he brought him back to consciousness and said, "Come, come, come." On another day, Latu went to meditate in one of the Shiva temples. There are the 12 Shiva temples in Dakshineshwar. So he went to meditate in one of them in the afternoon. But it was past afternoon, it was almost evening and he had not come back. So the master became very anxious about Latu and sent someone to search for him. The person who went came back and said, "Latu is deeply absorbed in meditation and his whole body is wet with perspiration." Sri Ramakrishna immediately took a hand fan and went there, sat next to him and started fanning him. After some time, Latu regained consciousness and he felt greatly embarrassed at seeing the master fanning him. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, he removed his embarrassment by his sweet and affectionate words. With all this, his spiritual longing, Latu's chief endeavor was to serve the master. Service was his motto. Once he said in reply to one who questioned him as to how the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna got time for worship when they were so much devoted to his service. To this, Latu Maharaj replied, "Well, service to him was our greatest worship and meditation." Service to the master is our greatest worship and meditation. There is an incident in the life of Latu Maharaj about Sri Ramakrishna's teachings about giving up anger. One day, Sri Ramakrishna asked Rakhal, that is later Swami Brahmananda, who was the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, he asked him, can you prepare some beetle rolls after lunch? They would eat some beetle rolls. So Rakhal replied that he did not know how to make those beetle rolls. The master said, how strange it is. Does one have to be trained as an apprentice to learn to make these beetle rolls? Go and prepare some and bring them to me. But Rakhal did not move. This annoyed Latu, because as soon as Sri Ramakrishna would say something, Latu would jump and then he would serve. But seeing this indifference, he was very much hurt. And he told Rakhal with anger, what is the matter with you? Why don't you do what he says? And instead of doing something, you are arguing with him. You are not behaving properly. Latu's angry words provoked Rakhal, who blurted out, if you think that is so, why don't you go and do it yourself? Our children do that at home. I won't do it. I have never made a beetle roll in my life, because Rakhal came from a very aristocratic family. By this time, Latu's anger had reached the peak, and so he went on saying many things, many words in half Bengali and half Hindi. And the master enjoyed this commotion and called his nephew Ramlal. Hey Ramlal, come and see this fun. Just see the fight between these two boys. Then he added, well, Ramlal, tell me, who is the greater devotee, Rakhal or Latu? Ramlal understood the point and said, I think Rakhal is the greater devotee, greater of the two. So this remark threw Latu into a fit of rage, and he stammered out, what a verdict! He disobeyed the master, and yet he is a greater devotee. Latu's fury made the master laugh, and he said, you are right, Ramlal. Yes, Rakhal's devotion ranks higher. Just see how easily he is smiling and talking. Pointing to Latu, he added, and how terribly angry he is. A real devotee, can he show anger before the Lord? Anger is satanic. Krodh, Chandal in Bengali. Anger is satanic. Anger makes love and devotion take wing. They will just fly away. Latu was cut to the quick. He was filled simultaneously with shame and humility. His tears came into his eyes. He said to the master, I will never again be angry before you. Please forgive me. What a lesson we learn from his life here. Holy Mother Sharda Devi lived in the Nahabad, the music room, where she cooked for Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees. You want the child to go to the children's class? It's downstairs. So, Latu was one day meditating on the banks of the river Ganga. Sri Ramakrishna told him, look here, Leto, the one on whom you are meditating is now sweating over the flour. Holy Mother was making chapatis, bread. So then he took Latu to Holy Mother and said, this boy is a pure soul. He will knead the flour and flatten the chapatis for you. Whenever you need any help, please ask him. Thus, Latu became an attendant of Holy Mother Sharda Devi, and he adored the mother, and mother also looked upon him as a little child. After the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, Latu Maharaj accompanied the Holy Mother to Vrindavan and stayed there for a short while. His love and reverence for the Holy Mother was next to that of the Master, if not even equal. The Holy Mother also looked upon him exactly as her own child. At Dakshineshwar, when she had had to pass through hard days of work, Latu had been her devoted assistant. Brought up in a village atmosphere, she was very shy and would not talk with anyone outside a limited group. But as Latu was very young and had a childlike attitude towards her, she was very free with Latu. The depth of love and devotion of Latu Maharaj to the Holy Mother throughout his whole life was amazing. There is an incident in the life of Latu Maharaj. Latu Maharaj was staying at the house of Balaram Bose in Bagh Bazar, Kolkata, and the Holy Mother also was living there. There is a room just below, a small room, and he used to stay there, and Mother used to stay on the upper floor with the family of Balram's family. Now, once she decided to go to Jairambati, her birthplace, and she was to go and stay there for several months, which she did almost every year. So now he was attached to the Holy Mother, but just in order to get away the feeling that he will be missing the presence of the Mother, he started pacing up and down his room and saying in Hindi, "Sannyasika, ko mata, ko pita." Who is a mother? Who is a father to a sannyasi? A sannyasi has no mother, has no father. And so with these words he was strolling up and down his room. Just at that moment, the Holy Mother came down and she heard this, and in a very soft voice she said to him, "My child, Latu, all is well, but make sure that you do not forget me." And tears started rolling down her eyes. And Latu Maharaj's tears also started swelling up, and he started, both of them, mother and child, both of them started crying. And then after a little while, crying like this, Latu Maharaj took mother's cloth and then wiped her eyes and said, "You are going to your father's house. You should not cry while going to your father's house. So do not cry. How can I forget you?" So that was the relationship that Holy Mother and Latu Maharaj had. He would be absorbed in or engrossed in spiritual practices so much that he could not stick to any regular time to have his food or drink. Even when the monastery was at Baranagar, the first monastery, he would be very erratic, his timings would be very erratic. So food would be sent to his room. And on some days, the food that was sent in the morning would remain untouched till the night, because he was absorbed in meditation all the time. He was not even aware that he had not taken any meal. At night, when others retired or went to sleep, Latu Maharaj would just lie in his bed acting as if he is asleep, but he would quickly rise when others were awake and he would start telling the beads. Once a funny incident happened. So while he was telling the beads, it made a little sound. So one of the brother monks who was asleep, he heard this and he thought that a rat had come, and so he lit up a light to drive away the rat. At this, everybody found that it was Latu Maharaj who was performing the japam, and so they began to poke fun at him. Sometimes sometimes he would stay at devotees' houses, sometimes he would lay on the bank of the river Ganga and he would practice japa and meditation. If anybody would give some food, he would eat it, otherwise he would just continue his japa and meditation. He stayed sometimes at the house of devotees and sometimes in the room of a press, Basumati press. And it belonged to a disciple of the master, and he stayed in the press itself. And Jiten Babu, who was the owner of the press, he would give him some food and he would spend his time over there. Sometimes he would stay on the bathing ghat of the river Ganga and would spend time meditating over there. The policeman who kept watch of the ghat came to know of this sadhu and he would not object to his remaining there at night. The main source of his remaining wherever he was that he was totally dependent on his master, Sri Ramakrishna. He would always think that the master would supply him with whatever is needed or whatever is good for him. Latu Maharaj would say later to those who sought guidance from him, your dependence on God is very feeble, very weak. If you do not get a result according to your own liking, in 2 days you give up God and you follow your own plan, as if you are wiser than Him. And he would add, real self-surrender means that you will not waver in your faith, even in the face of great losses. There was nothing, indeed there was absolutely nothing in the world that could tempt Latu Maharaj or swerve his faith away from the devotion to Sri Ramakrishna. Towards the end of the year 1898, Ramchandra Datta was on his deathbed and Latu Maharaj was by his side. For more than 3 weeks, he incessantly nursed his old master, who had been instrumental in bringing him in contact with Sri Ramakrishna. It is said that Latu Maharaj went on attending to the needs of the patient almost throughout 24 hours of the day. He took upon himself the main brunt of looking after the patient. Later, when the wife of Ramchandra Datta, whom he used to address as Mother, Ma, when she was in her dying moments for about a month or so, he served her, looked after her, more than a son would do. It was only when she passed away that he left the house. Shivaram, one of the devotees, has recorded that during that time while he was staying at Yogodhyan, a sort of luster, sort of light used to emanate from Latu Maharaj's body. And his eyes used to be half closed all the time. The lips were always moving slightly, doing the japam. Very rarely did he talk to anyone. He used to sit with his stout neck bent a little to the left, the very sight of which would indicate that he was giving flight to someone. His body was, day and night, covered with a thick piece of cloth or blanket. The whole noon he used to sit in the sun and count the beads. So much of tapasya, so much of austerities he practiced. However, Latu Maharaj could not identify himself with the work that Swami Vivekananda had started, because he thought that they caused distraction to the inner flow of his spiritual life. But he had great faith in the mission, the Ramakrishna mission, and he used to say, I am ready to take hundreds of births if I can have the companionship of Loren Bhai. Loren Bhai means Naren Bhai, Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda used to say, our master was original and every one of his disciples also is original. Look at Latu, born and brought up in a poor family, he has attained to a level of spirituality which is the despair of many. We came with education. This was a great advantage. But when we felt depressed or life became monotonous, we could try to get inspiration from books. But Latu had no such opportunity for diversion. Yet simply through one pointed devotion, he has made his life exalted. This speaks of his great latent spirituality. When Swami Vivekananda returned from the West, he had many of his disciples with him and he went on a pilgrimage to Amarnath and other places in Kashmir. So once in Kashmir, Swamiji, after visiting a temple, he remarked that the temple was 2,000 or 3,000 years old. At this, Latu Maharaj questioned how he could come to such a strange conclusion that it is 2,000 or 3,000 years old. This Swami Vivekananda said he was in a fix, he couldn't respond, so he replied, it is very difficult to explain the reasons for my conclusions to you. It would be possible if you had some modern education. Latu Maharaj, instead of being embarrassed at this, he said, well, such is your education that you cannot teach an illiterate person like myself. This reply threw all into roaring laughter. Latu Maharaj would spend the whole day almost alone. Only in the mornings and evenings he would be found talking with persons who would approach for some spiritual advice. Outwardly he was very stern. You see the picture of Latu Maharaj, you would feel that he was very stern, and at times he would not reply though the questions were asked repeatedly. But when in a mood to talk and mix with people, he was amazingly free and sociable. It is said that once a man tipsy with drinking, a drunk person came to him at midnight with some food that he had cooked and requested that Latu Maharaj must accept them. For he said, after you eat, I will take it as prasad. Now, it was almost midnight, and who would eat at midnight? But he quietly submitted to this request of this drunkard, and the man went away mightily satisfied. When his attendant asked him, Maharaj, how is it that you could accept this food at this middle of the night? He said, look here, persons like him want only some sympathy. Why should one grudge in giving that sympathy? What a wonderful frame of mind. Another day, a devotee came to Latu Maharaj, drenched in the rain. He was totally drenched. It was winter. Latu Maharaj at once brought out some of his own clothes, monk's clothes, and gave it to him and said, "You put it on." The devotee was very alarmed. And he said, "How is it that I can wear your clothes, Maharaj, that too a monk's clothes, ochre clothes?" But Latu Maharaj said, "No, you must wear it now. Otherwise you will get sick, you may fall ill, and you will not be able to attend your office tomorrow." For a poor person like him, it was a gloomy prospect not attending the office. So he was full of love, though externally he was very stern. Once there came two Western women to see Latu Maharaj at Balram Bose's house. And they started discussing humanitarian activities of the Ramakrishna mission. They were atheists, non-believers, but they believed in doing good works for the benefit of humanity. Chandrasekhar Chatterjee, who was a devotee, acted as the interpreter. So one of the ladies asked this question: "To do good to others is one's ideal. We agree with you on this point, but you give a higher place to God than to philanthropy, and we do not agree with that. God cannot be seen, they cannot be perceived, and there is no proof of His existence. We don't understand why you want people to have faith in this unknown entity called God, and why you want to have faith in God and then do good to the others." Latu Maharaj said, "Those who try to serve humanity without believing in God cannot keep it up for a very long time. After a while, the question crops up, what shall I gain from this? After all, everybody wants results. Everybody wants some benefit. At once this question arises, one begins to lose interest. Those who want to serve others will have to make personal sacrifices. You must realize that the desire to sacrifice for the sake of others cannot come unless one believes in God." Hearing this, both the ladies laughed, and the second one remarked, "That's no explanation." Latu Maharaj said, "Will you please tell me why you want to do philanthropic work?" She answered, "We do philanthropic work because it does good to others." Latu Maharaj said, "But can you tell me what I shall get from it? Why should I work for the benefit of others?" The first lady said, "Because we live in society, we have obligations to our fellow human beings, and fulfilling those obligations is our religion. Our ideal is to alleviate suffering." Latu Maharaj said, "There is a higher ideal than what you have just said, and that is the realization of God. Those who strive for it are heroes. To do good to others is, after all, only a social activity. It has nothing to do with God realization. Moreover, philanthropic works may bring good to others, but what about you? What good will it do to you? Can you explain to me what benefit working for others will bring to you?" At this point, both of the ladies were puzzled, and he continued, "You see, there is a loophole in your argument. All arguments are invariably fallacious. Only if you admit the existence of God does everything become meaningful. When we bring God into our lives, distinctions lessen, and we feel that all people are our very own. On the physical plane, there is a difference between myself and the others, but on the spiritual plane, we are the same, Satchidananda. From that standpoint, no one can help another. One is only helping oneself." That's what Swamiji said. By doing good to others, you do good to yourself. The key to our philanthropy is this. In doing good to others, we try to forget the apparent distinctions between ourselves and the other people. The welfare of others is my welfare. That is our attitude. Who does not want his own good? If you believe in God and then serve society, you can never feel any resentment. People may get social merit through philanthropic activities, but if their egos are involved in those activities, they will not get any spiritual merit. Even the result of such a good action turns into a bondage if it is done with ego. On the other hand, unselfish action destroys the bondage of action and brings liberation to humanity. So, we will be concluding very shortly. Latu Maharaj passed away in 1920. He passed away in Varanasi in 1920. And Swami Turiyananda, who was staying at the Ramakrishna Mission Home of Service at Varanasi, would often visit and would sit by him silently for an hour or so. One day a devotee asked him, the Swami, Maharaj, why do you sit there silently like that? Latu Maharaj does not talk to you. Turiyananda replied, Latu Maharaj is always in deep meditation. How can he talk with me? So I sit in silence for some time and then leave, having enjoyed his holy company. So on 24th of April 1920, Latu Maharaj passed away at Varanasi. And Swami Turiyananda wrote to Miss Josephine MacLeod, an American devotee of Vivekananda, I am extremely sorry to let you know that Swami Adbhutananda, Latu Maharaj, is now no more. He breathed his last on the 24th of April. His passing away was indeed wonderful. He entered a meditative state from the first moment he fell ill and remained absorbed in that state until he gave up his body. He had developed a small blister on his right ankle that developed into gangrene. All the best local medical help was requisitioned, but to no avail, and in 10 days he expired. He showed no signs of pain during his illness. But the wonder of all wonders was that after his death, when his body was placed in a sitting position to conform with some of the funeral rites, we found him looking so beautiful, so serene, so full of peace and bliss. His face beamed with light and an intelligence unspeakable, as if he were taking leave from his friends for the last time, with an exhortation of affectionate benediction. Really, it was a sight for the gods to see. The master had said to Latu once, here God alone exists. Do not forget this, showing himself. God alone exists. Do not forget. And Latu quickly answered, how can I forget someone who loves me so much? And indeed, he did not forget Sri Ramakrishna even for a moment. So on this day of his birthday, we pray to Sri Ramakrishna to grant us the same faith, the same love that he had for Latu Maharaj. May the blessings of Latu Maharaj and the grace of Sri Ramakrishna be upon us. Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva pranamami muhu.